Hey, the trade deadline is over. Election day is over. And there's just some bad news to share regarding the Chicago Bears. And it's just disappointing news. This affects not only the offensive line, but the defensive line as well. So let's just start with the offense. And then I'm going to get to the devastating news that just came up for the defensive line. So, kind of lay of the land, right? How many good defenses have the Chicago Bears actually played? We're coming off 6 sacks given up to the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals came into this game as the 7th worst team when it came to getting after the quarterback. And it should have been more, but Caleb Williams, he's just a magician when it comes to evading pressure. So sorry to say, but the situation on the offensive line, it just got worse. And Jeremy Fowler, he just gave us an update on Darnell Wright, and it's not encouraging. I'm just going to directly quote. Bears right tackle Darnell Wright is dealing with an MCL injury per a source. That would put him in a week-to-week category as Chicago prepares for the Patriots on Sunday. So the possible scenario, it's pretty rough, right? Braxton Jones, he's not practicing either. And these injuries, they've had even more impact as both tackles, they went down, and it really made it a tough call to move Nate Davis at the deadline yesterday. I mean, that's understandable. You got to keep him on the team with these guys just dropping like flies. And then the good news, I always try to find some kind of good news, right? And that's regarding Ryan Bates. He's likely going to be activated this week, and that could make a reshuffling actually possible. Like, for example, Tevin Jenkins, he could actually shift over to left tackle. Larry Borum, he was a train wreck last week. And then Bates, he comes in at right guard. Nate Davis, he might even be used here. And we could be looking at Tevin Jenkins and hopefully Ryan Bates, these two guys being the only two men left standing out of the original plan for this offensive line. Because kind of where we're at in the season, Davis, he got benched. Bates, he was originally meant to start at center over Coleman Shelton. Jones and Wright are now out. Just the absolute worst case scenario here for this position group. And GM Ryan Poles, he chose to go with continuity, right? He believed that the success of this unit in the second half of last year, that was pretty much the same guys as well. That's where he landed. I can't fully blame him for that. The offensive line looked like it was on a full upswing at the second half of last season, and they were one of the better lines in the whole NFL. Now, you got the questionable play calling of Waldron. Then you couple that with an apparent inexplicable coaching breakdown from Chris Morgan. In case you haven't been paying attention, that's the offensive line coach. And, poor game management from Coach Eberflus. Question. Is it reprehensible that Poles didn't invest immediately in the offensive line? Is it just bad luck? Or at 4-4, do we need to just weather the storm, try to eke out a win against New England, hope to get healthier to face the Packers on the 17th? My goodness, that doesn't sound like a fun game at this point, right? But I'm just not quite as concerned with the record at this point. I'm more concerned about protecting our quarterback and still aiding him in his development. At this point, if we don't do something on the offensive line, he's going to get decapitated. And if that means during this game, do we have to bulldoze? Do we have to go run heavy? Do we need to bring 2, even 3 tight ends to help block? And here's an idea. Actually featured Cole Kmet. He is a huge receiving threat, especially in this situation. And that's after getting 0 targets last week. I mean, man, how the expectations have changed in just 2 short weeks, but that's the NFL, right? And now let's just rip off the Band-Aid, and I want to go straight to the source, and that's Kevin Fishbane. I'm going to call this up. This is on Twitter, obviously. I'm just going to talk straight from this. Bears head coach Matt Eberflus says Jaquan Brisker, he's likely out again this week. Defensive tackle, and here it comes. Andrew Billings, he's going to be having surgery on his injured pec. Left tackle Braxton Jones, right tackle Darnell Wright. They will not practice today. And then on top of that, Kyler Gordon and Montez Sweat, they'll be limited today. So we're looking at Andrew Billings, our defensive tackle, our nose. He has just been an absolute stud. He's going to be having surgery on his injured pec. And Jaquan Brisker is likely still out yet another week due to that concussion way back in the Carolina game. And the likely return week for Brisker, that's probably going to be week 11 for the Green Bay game. But the guy's not even resuming football activity yet. So that is yet to be seen. And we knew about Brisker, right? But man, this Billings injury, it just feels like piling on. It's kind of a gut punch. And the defense just hugely struggled against the running attack of the Cardinals. The running attack of the Cardinals is not even elite. This is likely a long departure from the lineup for Billings. I actually think it's going to end the season for him. And make no bones about it now, the man has been absolute bedrock for this line. This is the worst timing possible with the NFC North docket coming into play. It's right on the horizon. It's time to actually play some good football teams now. And Eberflus, he said he and the Bears general manager, Ryan Poles, they'll decide in the near future if Billings will miss the rest of the 2024 season, but it's a pec injury from a nose tackle. It's going to end the season. But right now, Eberflus is saying we'll see where it is. Whatever, man. It's going to be ending this season. And you're looking at Billings. He has 13 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble so far this season. As you know, with a nose tackle, the stats don't really tell how important he's been. He's one of the most important players on the Bears defense this season. And even if he doesn't show up consistently on the stat sheet, us that watch him every week, we know the real deal on that. So we're going to combine that with Gervon Dexter Sr., Montez Sweat, Darrell Taylor, and DeMarcus Walker. I mean, when you compare all these guys together, Billings has been the player who fills the gaps. He's the one that's eat space. He's the one that's been taking up blockers, and that has allowed the other defensive linemen to be more effective at their jobs. That's allowed Gervon Dexter to be grading out as one of the best defensive tackles in the game right now. And then this combo of defensive linemen, right? You have the Bears sitting tied. I think they're tied. No, I think they are outright 11th in the NFL. They have 23 sacks, getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks almost at will. 27.1% of their dropbacks is the amount that Chicago has been able to get pressures against the opposition. That's according to PFF. So that's obviously a really high rate. Now we're looking at what do the Bears do next? They could turn to second-year defensive tackle Zach Pickens. They could turn to defensive tackle Chris Williams to help fill that void. And if you're not familiar with Chris Williams, he has a couple sacks in the season. He's really starting to pop. He's the guy that I believe that we got from the Cleveland Browns for a 6th-round pick. Just a really good move by Poles. Now it's going to be time for him to pony up and get some actual time, some actual starts. Maybe then we can see what we actually have in him. But whoever fills that void, it's going to be huge shoes to fill. And I always want to leave you something positive. So let's get to it. There's a glimmer of good news here. And there always is. You know, I like to be positive here. We're looking at Montez Sweat. We're looking at Kyler Gordon. They are practicing today, even if it's on a limited basis. And especially if Billings out, we need a healthy Montez Sweat if any expectation remains of winning this game. So I think going into playing New England, I think a win here is still wholly possible. New England isn't that imposing. We're at our home here at Soldier Field. If this secondary is mostly intact now, minus Brisker, it looks like it's going to be. Sweat is back patrolling the edge. I can still actually look forward to watching this game. And hopefully after the game, I'm going to have some positive input here because the last 2 weeks the last 2 weeks have not been fun at all. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, not a lot of good news this week. It looks like this season is in total turmoil, but let's see if the ship can get righted. Let's see if we can still get a playoff spot. Let's see if we can right now stop our quarterback from getting killed. So you guys let me know what you think. Bear down, like, and subscribe as we move towards 10,000 subscribers, and appreciate each and every one of you. See you guys later.